Newbee's turn to ban. Invictus Gaming's turn to ban. Newbee's turn to ban.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our final match before Key Arena. It's time for Invictus Gaming versus Newbee. And boy, Newbee's had a long day. They had a BO3 against Titan. Game 2 had to have given them a heart attack. Then they struck back with the level 1 Roche, and a pretty easy Game 3 win from there. Then they had Na'Vi to face, and in a match that I thought might be a bit closer, they just ran Na'Vi over. 2-0, pretty convincingly. With that being said, I'm LD. I'm joined here by Cinder, and winner of this best of 3 goes to the winner's bracket at Key Arena. The loser, still in the main event, but starting from the loser's bracket.
Yeah, I agree with you. That previous series was more one-sided than I would have thought as well, especially Game 2. When I saw the draft of Game 1, I had the feeling that Newbee might take it. Just from the draft perspective, they had really good pushing, they had some tanky heroes, and Na'Vi, something I've pointed out in a couple of previous casts, it's great that you have spread damage to defend with, but if you don't have the heavy single target damage, heroes like Weaver and Death Prophet in that game just were kiting Na'Vi around and they just beat them on passive damage over time, basically. So
they would have had it if it went late with the Tiny, but the Newbee did not.
Yeah, that was Game 2.
Yeah.
Game 1, they had an Ember Spirit who could have also gone late game, but they never really got there. Na'Vi did a pretty good. I feel like their Game 1 was actually, all things considered, Na'Vi put up a really good fight. Game 2, they just got run over, and I thought actually in Game 2 they might have had a better draft relatively than in Game 1, but Newbee just completely destroyed them, especially Mu on that TA. If you're playing a 1-on-2 lane and you get one gank and then you win on your own, this guy on TA, man, he's an absolute beast. I think he has the most wins out of any player on TA, and he has one of the best kills per game on TA.
TA is one of these heroes that we often see gets mispicked. I think it's one of the heroes teams make the most mistakes with. They're like, oh yeah, we don't know what to pick, so we'll send a TA mid, but you go into the mid game, and if you're not finding those early game kills and you don't get a certain level of farm, you just don't offer what other solo mids do. But Mu he always seems to find the openings. And with that being said, the draft's underway, so looking through these bans, you're up against 430, 2-ban Ember. Not too much to talk about that. Razor is just really annoying to play against, and a lot of teams are choosing to first phase ban it. And actually, I think the one interesting thing here is that Enchantress gets banned, because IG have a fantastic jungler in their own right in Chuan. But it looks like they don't want to give it away to Banana, and so it'll be a trade here. Newbee are going to give up the Doom, or IG are going to give up the Doom to Newbee. But now, IG can go for some big picks of their own. There's a bat in the pool if they want it. No, they're going to start things off with a Tide.
Yeah, I was about to say they're probably going to get the Mirana for Chuan. It seems to be IG's go-to support pick for Chuan when they're not playing the Enchantress. At least as of recently, Chuan has been playing a fantastic support Mirana. I'm a little surprised to see them picking Tide into Doom. As we've talked about in previous games, Doom is one of the best counter picks to Tide, but of course if you don't get Doom before you Ravage, then afterwards he's kind of an awful Doom target. So it's kind of, it goes both ways. Tide is also great against Doom in the lane should they match up against each other, since Tide beats most melee heroes by just using Anchor Smash, so...
And especially against the Doom, he has very low armor to begin with, so the Anchor Smash can really put the hurt on him. And another key support, I would say, especially for the more traditional Chinese teams, you've got in that category, I'd say Newbee, LGD, IG, and Vici. DK, a little bit less predictable. They kind of prefer their line in a lot of cases, but... Yeah, the Shadow Shaman, man. This is towers that are going to fall. Guaranteed if they get the wards. And it seems very hard to stop the Shaman from having an impact in these games. Something Titan also used very effectively. So, well, the draft beginning to unfold here. Both teams showing something as far as how they want to approach this series. And I have to say, for Newbee, I feel like getting Xiao 8 on the right hero is very important. We saw when he has Tide or Doom, I'd say Doom was his go-to, and the Tide's normally the backup, and that seems to be the choice here, that he almost always has an impact. But if he can't get one of those heroes, sometimes he struggles a bit.
It's definitely two of his best heroes, that's for sure. And in this metagame, it's good to be good at these two heroes. They're kind of getting first phase picked every single game. So, and they also get through in the draft a lot of times, because other heroes are now starting to take ban priority. Lycan has been banned pretty much the entire tournament. Razor has grown a lot. His win rate is still not that good, but I don't know. The teams are still feeling like Razor is a really big problem that you absolutely have to deal with, so they decide to first phase ban it. One ban I want to highlight, though, in this game is the Invoker of Luo, which we've seen so many times. IG are incredible at using Sunstrike.
And they have 430 on their team. I mean, you're talking about Luo, but this guy was the original Invoker in some ways. He earned the nickname the pianist in the Chinese community because it's like he's playing the piano. He's just amazing to watch, but it has been Luo more often than not, playing the safe lane, Quasi-Exort, usually the Necro 3-rush Invoker, and towers just, you combine that with any sort of other push and towers just melt.
Yeah, the Invoker Ferrari really got famous for was his Quaswex Invoker when that was good during TI2, and he played it with Force Staff and Orchid, so he would actually force the enemy players into his team, and then Orchid them and then kill them off, and that was absolutely, he was fantastic in that tournament.
They won a game versus Mouse Sports, the old Mouse Sports, with on the back of 2 Force Staff initiations on Saint Seiya.
Yeah, that was a game where Mouse were leading really heavily, I believe. They were so far ahead, but then Ferrari managed to pull it back. That's a long time ago, but we can, you know, if you can remember games like that, he must have impressed, right?
Yes, but those stand out.
Yeah, it's not going to be an Invoker this game, however, as it was banned out by Newbee, and they're going to ban out the Death Prophet here as well. A little bit nervous, of course, that IG will try to run the what we've seen mainly from a lot of Chinese teams, the Death Prophet Death Ball mid-game push. I guess we could call it the Death Prophet Ball.
Yeah. It's just a Death Prophet plus anything, pretty much. It's going to be a heavy push. Also ignored, I have to say. Well, actually something worth pointing out, first of all, is that from time to time the Chinese teams will bust out a Tiny Wisp. And normally if they do it 3rd, 4th pick. So the idea basically being in that point that you pick the Wisp, and they just have to squeeze a Tiny into the lineup if they want it, or give it away. So we'll see. It's been led through. It's more of a pocket strategy, I guess I would say, than anything else. Not something they turn to regularly. Out of all the teams here, I think DK are the ones that will do it the most. But for now, Newbee. The ES has been secured, and this means pretty reliable arrows. Fissure into arrows, a very potent combo.
It is a potent combo. I wouldn't say it's one of the best setups because the Fissure stun, especially in low levels, is pretty short duration, so you need to be... It's a classic combination that was actually played back in Dota 1 like 5 or 6 years ago as a dual lane, but it is very hard to land. It's a 1-second stun in level 1 from the Fissure, so you basically have to shoot the arrow before you Fissure, or you have to be so close that the arrow becomes a mediocre 1 or 2 second stun. So it's not the best of combos, but what IG get out of this is that they want something to secure their towers with, I think. They're worried about the push coming from Newbee. They've already shown their hand with Shadow Shaman Doom. It's a mid-game oriented push strat. You want to be able to hold. You've got Mirana for the setup arrow. If the arrow starts, this is another way for IG to take fights. If they set up the fight with the arrow, and Newbee actually try to counter-engage, they just get locked off with a Fissure. You stun 2 or 3 targets, you kill the initial target, and then you work from there, and then you even have a Ravage to come in. So, as far as teamfight goes, I think IG have a great lineup, and banning out the Alchemist is interesting for me because he's been played both as a support and a carry and a mid, a little bit of everything. I think mainly the Chinese teams prefer him as a support.
I would say primarily mid. Like we see Mu and Super go there a lot, but they do run it as support.
For this tournament, I think maybe a little more on support. I don't know.
I've hardly seen any out games, so I couldn't say for this event.
But he's great for those mid-game pushing strats, right? And seeing IG banning it, it's good with and against mid-game push. So they choose to ban it and take the Shaker. I think they could have done it the other way around as well, actually. Ban the Shaker and take an Alchemist could have been a call for IG, but we're gonna see a puck for Mu in this game, it looks like, for Newbee. This is a great puck game.
The other thing that I like about the Earthshaker pick is IG's Dire, and we've seen a lot of the teams take advantage of Fissure to draw that offlane back. Tide generally is going to get his levels anyway, but this just means it's a bit safer for YYF to get into the lane. So...
yeah, in the previous game against Na'Vi from Newbee, they managed to secure a level 6 Tide at 6 minutes in the Dire offlane against a Razor lane. So definitely going to be looking out for that from IG. It's what every team will do next.
Oh, the 430 Tinker.
Uh-oh.
Oh boy.
Not the best Tinker game though.
There's a lot of lockdown for him. They've got the Blink Hex, Coil, Doom.
he's against 3 Blink heroes that can all counter him out. So
and seeing this, Newbee may go for even more. They've still got options here for their carry. And
oh,
the Spectre,
boy.
LGD showed this in the group stage. They were they played against Fnatic, a Tinker was selected, and they went straight into Spectre Disruptor.
I like this a lot.
And Newbee have room for another support, so we might even see another support that can punish the Tinker pick.
I've been waiting for more Spectre in this tournament in general. I think it's been picked like 1 or 2 games only.
Yeah.
There are, with how greedy a lot of the teams have been playing, there are 2 ways of beating it. Either you push really early, like we've seen teams like Vici doing, Titan in some games, or you play more greedy and you get the better late game carry. And Spectre is arguably one of the best late game carries with a
They've Spectre Doom, so in theory you can take 2 heroes out of the fight off the bat. You can haunt and jump the others. You've got a natural Hex carrier in the Puck, a built-in Hex on the Shaman. Even with the Tinker, or IG, it's going to be real tough to take this late if they're not playing from ahead by a lot.
Yeah, and the way you beat Spectre in late game is that you have some sort of really hardcore single target damage that can kill off Spectre early on while you're in BKB, so
like
you
a
don't take all the
Void or with
reflection
a Chrono
damage.
or something.
Or a Tinker with E-Blade Dagon, but he is against a Doom. So, like you said, Newbee can open up the fight. They can find the Tinker with Haunt, they jump in with Doom, blink Doom the Tinker, and then at that point, I don't know if IG have the damage. Even now with their last pick, Lone Druid, which seems to be the approach here, is that they want to counter off the Spectre with the Druid early on with some heavy lockdown.
They want to punish this weak laning.
And they want to take towers, I think, but I don't know. Both teams to me have tower taking potential here with the Shadow Shaman mainly for the Radiant and on the Dire with the Lone Druid. This isn't clear cut. Do you think? Well, we could just see the Disruptor out of Newbee like LGD played earlier. I wouldn't think Disruptor is a that bad pick here, but maybe they want something better against the Baron. They're going to get the ledge.
Yeah, they get the Frost Armor. You can now throw on Tau. So against Lone Druid, he is the siege engine. They have a Tinker, fantastic split pusher, but doesn't break the base well. Unless you build, maybe if you build like a Manta style and a Necrobook ultra late game, but that's not something we're normally going to see. So
it's a little, I have to mention this is a little funny to see because this is taking me back to something I used to play with my team MTW a couple of years ago at DreamHack, where we actually Tinker Lone Druid push strats.
Every game, and as I recall.
Yeah, so the way this actually works and the reason why it's incredibly powerful if you get in the right position is Lone Druid will just siege the tower really slowly. His one weakness is that you can stop the bear and then from there on you can try to take a fight. But with Lone Druid, he just goes and hits the tower and Tinker sets a battlefield with March of the Machine. So you kind of can't initiate it. You have to, but you can't.
And then you're tanking the March.
And then if you have to go for the bear, you're going to tank the March, and that's the problem.
And if you go in, you're going into Fissure, Ravage, Arrow, lots of lockdown, and heroes are gonna melt.
So, well, I'm curious to see if this good old strategy still works 2 years later for IG here. They must have been played a couple of times.
Yeah,
so.
they must have looked up some of the old MTW.
I am sure what they did.
Was that even when your team was Wild Honey Badgers? Is that how far back we're talking?
No, it was after that.
Okay.
It was when I was playing with the French and with Kebab at that.
Gotcha.
So,
all right. Well, welcome in everybody from the live stream, and hello again to everyone watching through Dota TV. It's time for our final best of 3, our final match before the main event. Winner of this goes directly into the winner's bracket. They'll have 2 shots at the main event if they should lose. When the loser, not eliminated, but starting with no second chances. A key arena. I'm LD. I'm joined here by Cinder, and we're going to see a level 1 Smoke Sin from IG, and they make their way into the woods. There's a ward here. Not going to spot this one out, of course, but they do get some aggressive observer wards down. And so, as we look at Newbee, how do you feel about their laning stage? Because I think we both agree, if they have a good start to this game, they are very, very scary later on. But do you think they can get through these lanes intact? Are there any weak points that IG should be looking to attack?
Generally, you want to counter out a Spectre in the laning stage if you can. So if you have a great trial lane, or if you have a strong dual lane that you can put against Spectre's lane and deny her a lot of farm, or is it a her, it, or a he, or whatever? I don't even know what that hero is actually. If you can, you want to counter out Spectre in the lane. But the problem for IG is the way they've drafted, I don't feel like they have that strong lanes. Their 2 supports are Earthshaker as well as Mirana. And then their cores, Tide, Tinker, and Lone Druid. There's no really amazing lane setup they can put to counter out the Spectre. And even if they were to, they would probably run an aggressive trial lane into it. And Newbee were expecting that, so they're actually putting the Spectre in a dual lane off lane. So let's really quickly look at how Newbee are placing their lanes in addition to that. So it's Hao on Spectre together with Banana on Lich in the top lane. In the mid lane, it's going to be Mu playing as his Puck. And finally, towards the bottom, it will be Sansheng on Shadow Shaman together with Xiao 8 on the Doom.
And meanwhile, of course, on the Dire side, we've got Team IG. They got to sit back and watch today, and now they've just got to win the one series to make it into the winner's bracket. Luo will be on the off-lane Tidehunter. Mid is going to go YYF on the Lone Druid. We have Faith playing the Earthshaker. Chuan will be your Mirana, and that does leave 430 on the Tinker. So I think normally it was Zhou who played the Bear before they made the roster switch, right? I believe that was the case.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it must have been, right? Who else would it be?
I can't recall if YYF played a lot of Lifestealer. I can't recall ever seeing his on Druid now.
They might have done it like once or twice, but it's not something that left me with a big impression at least. So you're probably right. It might have been Zhou most of the time. So towards the bottom lane, Luo will be playing the Tide here, and will be trying to get as much farm as possible out of this dual lane. He's going to be sandwiched a little bit here, but actually managed to stop the additional pull here from Newbee, so did accomplish what he was looking for. He needs to be a little bit careful not to be overextending here, but with Sancheng showing that he has Ether Shock, there's no risk of shackles.
Yeah, and you can see the lane's actually being ignored right now. Xiaohui's going to walk back towards that. So our mid lane is a Puck versus a Lone Druid, and I've seen this lane go the Puck's way once, and now being pursued out a bit by Faith. He should be okay for now. Just some annoying body blocking as an arrow. Just fishing. Fully connected.
Oh, wow!
From long range, they find him. The Fissure stacked up a bit. I don't know if they have the follow-up damage, even with that perfect arrow. No leap.
That was really beautiful from IG. If there was any sort of follow-up there, they would have got that.
Meanwhile, bottom. We've got Shackles on Sancheng. Can he get in range for this? Can't quite do it. Xiaohui wanted to go. If they had the Shackles, that would be your first blood. Do you think if they hadn't stacked the Fissure and the arrow that it would have been enough? Or
if he doesn't throw the Fissure there, the arrow doesn't hit. Yeah. He actually pushed the hero into the arrow. That's why it was so beautiful there from IG. Very nicely done. But of course, their mid laner being a Lone Druid, not really the best hero at rotating in for a gank very early on.
I'll send the Bear. He'll look pretty.
Yeah. Oh, another arrow fishing in the mid lane, but Mu will avoid it. But yeah, and how are we doing for mid? So Lone Druid is 11 and 10 against a 4 and 3 Puck. So YYF really doing very well here. He should be winning the lane, but
I saw this matchup go the other way once, but it was when there was a Lycan on the Puck side.
Yeah.
So you can actually just chase down the Lone Druid once you hit level 6 and focus the main hero.
Invisibility.
And for the Howl to get the last hits in the lane,
the Howl helps a lot.
But with this mid lane going the way it is, the Puck level 6 is going to come pretty late because there's so many denies coming out from YYF. I mean, it's actually a mystery to me how Mu has more experience than YYF does. Mu has 4 denies on Puck and YYF has 12. And they're still pretty much tied in experience here.
Well, I guess maybe it's just the change to the way the experience works for range heroes from a few patches back. So it is reduced, but not nearly as much as it used to be. I feel like in the old patch, this Puck would be a half level, if not more, behind. I'm not sure. Maybe YYF has been out of the lane a little bit.
Yeah, it could also just be a little bit of movement or missing out on a slight bit of experience.
There should be at least
still looking very good in this lane.
Radiant's bottom
and IG in
tower
general
is
are
under
looking very
attack.
good when you look at the last hit scores. Ferrari's getting free farm in the safe lane. The off lane Tide from Luo actually has the same CS as the safe lane Doom from Xiaohui. And it's not a one-on-one even. There is a Shadow Shaman there, so Luo is doing a really great job down here. And for now, I would say definitely the way the early game is going for IG, this is what needs to happen. The Spectre has also been completely shut down. Started off well, but now 7 CS at 4 minutes. I think if you're Newbee, you have to rotate. Spectre needs farm in that safe lane.
Yeah, he's getting the levels, which is nice thanks to the Lich Denies, but he's not getting too much farm. You at least want to go into the mid game with something. The Phase Boots, Drum build we see is common. Vanguard's not out of the question, but he's got to have some items or he just melts. And maybe that's where Newbee look to just set up easy kills for the Spectre. They'll have the Dream Coil coming on soon for Mu. Doom's going to be available in the next couple minutes as well. And at that point, they can hunt in towards the bottom lane, take out Luo for a first blood if there's nothing doing by then. Arrow fishing top lane, but as pointed out earlier, there's a Radiant Observer Ward spotting this movement from Chuan, so not an easy kill for him to find. So yeah, I think if he gets shut down, they're going to need to set kills up for him around the map and basically hand them to him on a platter.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive that it actually doesn't even matter right now that Chuan isn't hitting these arrows, because the lanes were going so well even without his help. Actually, might try in mid lane. Oh, that was not.
Chuan really nailed that creep.
A very rare mistake from Chuan. They're actually leaped pretty much into the creep wave and arrowed it, so a little bit of a misplay, but what I was getting at, generally when you're playing a support Mirana early on, you want to hit those arrows and get some easy kills, so she actually has a major impact, but with all the lanes going IG's way anyway, I think it doesn't even matter that Chuan's ganks are unsuccessful right now. As long as Faith gets to pull and gets to work towards a little bit of a higher level into boots, maybe a Soul Ring, or even the Arcane Boots. I mean, Chuan could be very poor in this game. They can still manage.
The only thing that he could be doing is he could be stacking. They have a Tinker on their team. They have a Tide. They can really use the Ancients effectively, or the other jungle camps. But we haven't seen any of that from Chuan. Looking through the woods, we see 0 stacks on the Dire side. So it is an opportunity cost for Chuan going for these ganks and not connecting. Puts a little bit of fear into Moo, perhaps, but end of the day, he's losing his lane because he's up against the Lone Druid. And it's basically a 2v1 with the Bear. Not so much because Chuan is pressuring him.
And I want to point out for this mid lane that Moo is... Okay, Chuan is going to leap and steal the rune. Moo's going to not be happy about this. I want to point out, when you're entangled as Puck, which might happen right now... No.
Might face shift.
You can't face shift during entangle. So if they manage to get the root, which lasts for, 3 seconds on heroes, then that's a pretty long time to set up an arrow. Entangles are the only type of ability you cannot face shift during, of course, in addition to stuns and silences, right? But that's kind of speaks for itself. Apart from Morphling, who can apparently morph through absolutely almost everything.
But we'll see if they get an opening. For now, he's rotated back top, so
there is kill potential. That's why it was weird before, because YYF actually got an entangle, and then just Chuan did an arrow.
Easy first blood.
He hesitated, then he leaped into the
creep wave and arrow to creep.
Yeah. So
I mean, maybe that creep. I don't know.
Well, he got the last hit, I think, so he's getting rich. No, he didn't.
Did something bad to his family,
didn't even
perhaps.
get the last.
No, the creep's dead. All good creeps die eventually, so. For now, they'll stand strong, but they are winning their lanes, you have to say. The Tide's 31-3 is an awfully tight. They are going on the bottom, though. They have the Doom. They can haunt in if needed. Oh, no, sorry, no haunt yet. He's only level 5, but they don't need it. They find the kill on their own, and that's a great start here for Newbee. It's also going to mean fast wards up, at which point I think we'll see some pressure towards this bottom tower. Sangshang is already level 5, and we're only 7 minutes in.
This is a pretty amazing stat, actually, that they get first blood in 68% of their matches. That's a really good stat for
now, we were talking about this with K-pop Toasts, and I believe the additional follow-up numbers, teams that get first blood win, I think it was 55% of their games? 58% of the game. So, first blood is important, but obviously there's a lot of games where teams still go on from there.
And the thing about that stat is, it will often be if in really uneven matchups, it will generally be the better team that gets the first blood. Yes. So they would have won anyway. So it's a little hard to say what factors actually play in, but I'm not going to argue with first blood being a good thing. That's for sure.
Unless there's some crazy trade like a Roche or a Tower or multiple hero kills, and generally you come out on that.
And I actually think for Newbee it was a good thing that the first blood went to the Shadow Shaman. Often you put emphasis on the cores getting first blood, so they get towards their core items very early on, but with Sanshang getting it early, he's going to get his Arcane Boots now, like you said, almost level 6, 8 minutes in on the Shadow Shaman. Safe lane here together with Doom. He is going to have a really huge impact. If Doom had it, they would have had the mech a little earlier, but they won't need it yet, so...
There's another arrow searching from Chuan, but once again, just unable to connect. IG just not quite on the same wavelength down lane.
TPing top, he does have a smoke. He will now smoke and head towards the mid lane.
There's no
Doom is up
yet,
in 5.
But 5 seconds and we got it. Well,
I don't even know if they can kill YYF.
Lone Druid's not really
a TP support.
I have to say, I think he's the best carry against Doom in terms of, outside of maybe Wraith King, where you Doom him, and then you're like, oh wait, this bear has 1300 health and 10 armor. And Doom is not going to chunk through too much of that, but they might go anyway.
Yeah, the good news here for Newbee is that Shaker, they don't know this, but Shaker actually doesn't have mana for TP Fisher.
They also have Haunt. This could be big for Spectre. Xiao 8 looking for the opening. He's going to march in, and now they Haunt, and they Doom, and they Coil as well. They're throwing 3 ultimates YYF's way. Now the Dagger coming through. He's going to break the Coil. That will cause him to die. And the trade. The backup's here. In comes big, bad Daddy Tide. Finds one. Wants to finish off now. Hasn't done it yet, though. One more clunk, and down he goes. So in the end, it's a 1-for-1.
Is under attack.
Is it worth it to lose your Spectre, use 3 ults just to kill off the
Dire's structures are fortified.
Oh, they traded it for Ravage and Kill. I would say this is a fairly even trade. Maybe favoring IG a little bit, since if we count ultimates, more were used here from Newbee. And that kill might have not even happened if Shaker was actually able to TP Fisher immediately. But he was out of mana at the time Newbee went for the gank, so good timing there. He manages to secure that. And it's a win for Newbee, fallen. Let's put it that way. They just got a tier 1 tower bottom because of Tide's TP mid.
The other thing is this means 430 is safe for the next, I guess you call it a minute or so at this point. Oh, as I say that, he's getting dove. How is really committing to this one. The laser's already been thrown out. Well, he can't quite get the kill, but it means boots of travel for Tinker pretty much guaranteed at this point. Whereas if you go on him top lane, you might be able to slow him down. And to me, he's the most important here on IG's lineup to slow down.
Yeah. That's the one weakness Newbee have had so far, is that they haven't had any chance at really they can't challenge the top lane in the beginning. Their hero composition just doesn't work for an aggressive draw lane that well. So Ferraro will be getting a lot of space as a result of that. Hao, however, is coming back, I think. He's got 27 CS and an assist. Considering how badly it was looking early on, he's getting somewhere now. What do you think about his skill build? So in most cases, we see Spectres getting 1 or 2 points in Dagger, and then they max Desolate for the Haunt potential. He's maxing out the Dagger, and I am not sure what the reasoning is for this, but it's really interesting to see because this is the old build that pretty much no one uses anymore.
I guess the one good thing is he is pretty underfarmed, right? All he's got is a Bracer, 30 CS 11 minutes, so, I mean, that's pretty awful. 2-3 CS a minute as Spectre is not where you want to be. And with this build, it means he can offer a little bit more without having to get in close. The Desolate is a ton of damage, but you also have to be in harm's way to really take advantage of it. It does pass through to your illusions, but they don't generally get off that many right clicks until they get some more items, so we'll see. But I guess it's in some ways just the safer build and like the kill secure type build. We'll see. For now, they push.
Oh, he's putting pressure on Chuan up here.
Dyer's
Hitting pretty hard,
bottom
actually.
tower
Chuan
is
needs to be
under
careful.
attack.
If Hal realizes that Chuan is alone up here, he might actually try to go for this kill. He could dive him right now with a dagger and just chase him down at the tower, I think. We might see him do it.
And they're going to show 3 mid.
They're showing 3 mid and 1 bottom. He could at least force a TP right now, Hal.
If the backup comes, Xiao8's got a mech in. And Nigeria about to get caught out. The Doom that goes in, it's once again on the Lone Druid. Faith has a fissure available. He'll let it fly and unfortunately falls before he can make his way out. Lone Druid driven off the fight. Now they focus the Spirit Bear. They drop the
oh, they got it.
They get the Spirit Bear. That's an extra 300 gold going away. And now a Chain Cross. A coil as well. All of it for 430. There's Ravage mana now and he'll let it go, but it might just be too late. Arrow connects on Hal, but they just can't get in with the wards here. The backup, they might go for the bear a second time. Tower secured. And now Hal gets trapped in the wards. He phases out, but he had a few seconds of panic. Now it's the bear who's trapped in. And are they going to kill it a second time?
Oh my God, they kill it again.
No way. No, this can't happen, IG.
Did 2 heroes or a bear and a hero just both get stuck in a ward?
They waltzed into the wards and then they just decided to chill. And they wait for their phases to cool down.
What a great turnaround there from Newbee, though.
Just getting the tower is already great. Driving the Lone Druid off, killing the bear, that's a bonus. But getting the Tinker and the tower and the Spirit Bear
and the Shaker,
that's
and
huge.
One of the kills was on the Spectre even, and they didn't even lose their own tower. So IG were really trying to force the issue there and weren't successful. And if you manage to get past this point in the game as Newbee, you're going to be looking very, very good going into the mid game. We talked about how good Spectre is in this particular matchup so far. You need single target damage to deal with a Spectre mid late game, and it's not there yet for IG. Tinker will eventually get there if he gets enough farm, but he needs to be careful with his farming, as Hal can always catch him out together with the Doom. It's a very easy kill. And in addition to that, the Lone Druid will generally be building for Radiance first. Yes, the bear hits pretty hard, but you're still looking for that second item before you really challenge the Spectre.
And the Radiance isn't that close either. We're looking at a Lone Druid who didn't rush the Midas. He's got 2,200 gold with phase boots up on the bear. So he's still going to farm for quite a while just to get Relic, then into Radiance, and with the start Newbee have had, they've already got a mech. We might even see Xiao8 consider a pipe to... You're already up against Tinker, right? And at that point, Radiance feels a bit underwhelming, I would say.
The pipe would be really good for the Radiant, that's for sure. If you're playing against Tide and Shaker, it's a good one. Tinker in addition to that, it's just a great choice. Now YYF and the rest of IG up here will try to get this tower, at least now that they know that the ultimates are cooldown. But are they after all? It's only Chain Cross that's on cooldown. Here's the Doom on Tallulah.
Oh, well, he's driven back for now. Hal on the chase, brings him down with a few more Desolate strikes. They can't find anyone else just yet. The coil comes out, that will isolate YYF, easily dealt with. And as soon as they haunt, IG just can't do anything. Their only way to turn these fights really is Ravage. Like, you fissure, and that's fine, but Newbee just tank through it and keep on running forward. If they can't get off with the Ravage, I don't see how they take the fights, and now 430 might get caught. Blink, Silence will find him, and now they look for more. Quad being chased. Moo is doing so much work. He's got an orb. He doesn't even need it. One more right click. This might just be a GG already. 15 minutes in. Newbee up by 8k gold. They've been steamrolling. It was a tough match versus Titans, 2-1, but they cruised through Na'Vi 2-0, and now looking like they might take game 1 of this best of 3. What a run it would be for them to be in danger of elimination, and then potentially straight into the winner's bracket after the end of the bubble race.
The type of performance we're seeing from Newbee right now looks like a team that's in contention for top 4, if not top 2 right now. The way they've played the last few games has been phenomenal.
I believe both you and I had Newbee in our top 5 predictions going into the event, which was not by any means a bold choice. They had just been playing that well before the event. The Newbee that showed up in the group stage, I think the BO1 format just didn't quite suit them as much. And there's a little bit more randomness involved with that, but you see when they get BO3s and they've got a chance to warm up and get into their comfort zone, they are a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, and especially today for me, Moo has stood out as an amazing player so far. And this game is no exception. He's 5-0 in his puck. He's been setting up everything the way he should be in these team fights, and the rest of the team just followed through.
And let's remember, he had a rough matchup mid. He's up against Lone Druid. He was losing in CS and denied.
He was losing his lane.
It doesn't matter. He's still making things happen around the map.
Maybe you just need to put 2 heroes against this guy. But that's what Na'Vi did in the last game when he went 10-0. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people would have said 430 is the one you have to be worried about, but they did ban him out. Now an arrow mid. This could be big if they can isolate those. We'll start with the march. It's only a level 1 laser that they can throw. They combine it with the fissure, and now he's patient. He drops the coil, then the haunt. The turnaround may come.
No way! Oh
he's
my
still
God.
surviving through it. The chain frost keeps bouncing. It's a travesty for IG. Driven out. Well, it looks that Luo will escape, but they can't even get a stinking puck. They just don't have the damage. And GG, they've had enough. Newbee are 1 win away from the winner's bracket at Key Arena. And they made it look easy. This is IG we're talking about. Defending TI2, not defending, but TI2 champions. A team that steamrolled through the early stages of the groups. They're in danger now, Sind. What do you do? I just think this Spectre pick tied their draft together perfectly.
The early game lanes from IG were all working out. We were talking about they're winning their safe lane, they're winning their mid lane, Tide is getting a lot in the off lane, and then it's like Newbee just hit this point when their ultimates are up, and then they take 2 amazing team fights they make. I don't think they made a single bad decision.